Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So this tutorial is a continuation of our e-commerce API series using FastAPI. So in the last tutorial we have been able to reach this point where we just return a simple JSON hello world. So you can also just view the docs, and then you can you can bring for you the open API UI interface using Swagger. So this is what we have reached from last time. We can just try it out. This is going to return to us JSON right there. So in this tutorial, we're going to go in the last tutorial, I've been able to create our models, right? So our models that are just basically our database design. So in this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and actually do the user registration and the password hashing. And then the next tutorial, we're going to deal with the sending of our email verification. So let's get started, and then let's write that code for that. So I'm going to add my development server, and I'm going to open my Visual Studio Code, or feel free to use any editor you're using. You can just open it using the GUI. Also feel comfortable with what you're using, what you have. So let me just make this a bit bigger, and then let me try to zoom in into this so that you guys can see. Let me just zoom in a bit, yeah, just like that, and then clear the terminal, and then go back to my Visual Studio Code. So this is where we have reached from last time. Okay, so it's just taking a bit of time to load up. So it is true, we're going to go ahead and actually use the user registration system. So what I'm simply going to do is I'm going to just come up here, just up here, and I'm going to just write the route for that. So I'm just going to say at app, just pick down here, and then say at app. This is at app dot post, right? Because it's going to be making a post request, sending the user's information that you're going to be using to register the user, right? So this is going to be okay. Let me just close this up. Okay, this is going to be post, and it's going to be called registration. Registration is going to be our registration route, and then it's going to be an async function. So we're going to be async def. This is going to be user underscore registration. So what this is going to do is going to take in a user info, which is just going to be user pydantic in, right? You're going to be using the user pydantic in to register our model. The user pydantic in, this is the pydantic object we created from here, user pydantic in, and you're going to be using that to register our model. Okay, so in this user pydantic in, you're not going to accept the is verified. You're going to exclude is verified, because when the user is registering, we want to be the ones who decide whether the user is verified through through how they deal with their verification email, right? So that's why we have excluded that. So just going to say user pydantic in. Again, I have imported all of this from our models, so you can see that from models import everything, right? So you can just I imported everything. Okay, so because you're going to be using everything that we created in there, so we're going to have user underscore info. Let's call it user info. Let me get the spelling right. So user info is going to be user.dict. Okay, then user is this object. You have this object here, and it's going to be of type user pydantic in. And if you don't understand type hints in Python, I have a whole tutorial explaining type hints. So I'm going to leave a card up here. You can find that video on type hints. So let's get started. So this is going to be user dictionary, and what is going to be is going to exclude unset, and this is going to be true. You're going to exclude the unset, so let me just get the spelling of true right. So this is going to be true, and you're going to exclude the unset. Excuse me. So now that you have that, you're going to have all the user information, right? Because the user pydantic user pydantic in, right? Let me just bring it back here. One of the things that it excludes the verification. Okay, so the user is going to be allowed to pass in their passwords. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to get that password, and you're going to hash it instead. So in the user, this is going to be a dictionary. So this user info is a dictionary. So I'm going to add a new field in there, and I'm going to assign this to a hashed password. So we need to write a function that will hash the password that comes from the user. So how do we do that? So okay, this field already has a password field, because this is coming from the user pydantic in, right? So user is going to pass in the password, and the password is going to be the password is going to come from this object. You're simply converting that into a dictionary. So this object already has a field, this dictionary object already has a field called password. So what you're going to do, you're going to modify that password, because the password is just currently now text. So you're going to have the hash version of that password. So let me just create it in here another file, and I'm going to call it authentication.py. and then you're going to have that password there. So in here in authentication.py, you're going to write the logic to hash our password. So let me just bring you back to the official documentation, and you can see this is how this explain about hashing your password. So you need to install this right here. So just copy this and then move to your terminal, and then make sure that you install that. Make sure your virtual environment is activated, and then you install that in that virtual environment. If you're not using a virtual environment, then you just copy that and paste it there. It will take some time, and then install for us bcrypt. Password leak using bcrypt. So now that we have that, great. Let's go back to our Visual Studio Code, and then let's write the logic to hash our password. So the first thing we need to do is that we need to import what you have just installed, and then we need to write the logic to hash the password for us. So so going to say from, this is passlib, so it is from passlib.context import. This is actually crypt context, just like that. So now that we have that, so we're going to write the password context down here. Just bring this here, password, sorry, so let me just give it some spaces below here, and then password underscore context. This is just going to be it's going to be the bcrypt, so crypt context, and you're going to pass in two things. You're going to pass in a scheme. So schemes is going to be a dictionary, just a list, and this is going to be bcrypt. You're going to be using bcrypt to hash your password. So this is going to be bcrypt, and then you're going to also pass in deprecated argument. So this is deprecated, and then you're going to set this to be auto, just like that. So deprecated is going to be auto. Now that we have that, we can just write the logic to get hash password. So then def get hashed password, or you can just say generate hash password. So this is going to take in a password, and then what you're simply going to do, password, and then what you're simply going to do in here is you're going to return password context dot hash. Okay, this is going to hash our password, and you're going to simply pass in that password there. So that is going to make sure I undo that, and then this is password. Great. So this is going to take in the password, and then simply going to return to us a hash version of that password. So that's all we need to do to write to hash that password. So I'm going to go back to main, and I'm going to import everything from authentication. So I'm going to say from authentication import everything, because we're going to be using everything in the future. So we just import it to keep our imports clean for now. Or you can just import it individually. Feel free to do what you want. So you can just go say get hash password. So down here you're just going to say get hash password, and then get hash password, you're going to pass in our password. So this is going to be user underscore info. You're going to get the password, which is actually just now plain text. So this plain text, we're going to convert this plain text into a hash password, and you're simply going to return the plain text with that hash, but you're going to replace the plain text password with that hash password. So now that we have that, now we can go and actually create the user, and then put the user into the database along with the the user's hash password. After that we need to now, okay, let's do that first, and I'll explain to you the next step. So I'm going to get a user object, so user obj, and then this is going to be await. You're going to await this process. We're going to just get user, which is just going to be our user model dot create, and then you're going to pass in spreading the user spread of user password dot create, and it needs to be user underscore info. So you're going to spread that user info in there, and pack the user's info, and then you're going to now say new user. This is going to be an await again. You're going to await this process. Await, you're going to just say user pydentic. So we're going to use the user pydentic, and then we're going to say from tortoise from underscore tortoise underscore ORM. So from tortoise ORM, what you're simply going to do in, you're going to say user underscore obj. Okay, user obj. Great. So you're just going to convert that user object into a pydentic model, and then so this part is going to be what is going to store that in the database, and it's going to return to us a user object. You're just converting that into a pydentic object, and then what you're simply going to do, you're going to return to the user information, telling him that that the information has been or it has been registered, something like that. So we're going to tell the user okay, status of okay means everything went fine. And then you're going to have a data, and then the data is just going to be another string. It's just going to return an f string here, so make sure I keep an f string there. So if you're not f string sir, you can just Google it on YouTube. It is or any platform that you feel like, YouTube, Google, or anything. So what basically it does is just like it enables us to keep variables inside of our string text without having to use the string concatenating operator. So I'm just going to say hello, and then if you want to include a variable, just use the double curly braces. So I'm going to go new user, sorry, this is going to be new user, new underscore user dot user name, right? So this new username is a pydantic object of the user model. The user model has a username, right? So it's just going to get that username. So we're going to get maybe hello John Doe, thanks. We can just keep a comma here, and then you can say thanks for choosing our services, or something, just anything you feel like writing. Thanks for choosing our services, and then please check your email inbox. Just thinking of something official to write. So check your email inbox and click on the link to confirm your email. So you're going to just tell the user to confirm your registration. So just going to tell the user to check their email and to confirm their registration. That's all you're going to do. So now that the user is going to be created, right, you're just going to inform the user that their account has been created and that they should check their email. So now that you have write that function to help the user know that that you have sent them an email, right? So just going to return to the user that they should check their email after they have registered. Okay, great. So now that we have that, let's now write a function to create their actual business, because each user, each business, right, each person that registers will have a business that is attached to that user, right? So for example, if I just register right now, right, for example, if I register for Facebook, right, I'm going to have a profile on Facebook. Now in our case, if a user registers, the user is going to have a business attached to their accounts, because that will enable them to post their products and then be able to get maybe customers to buy their products for them. Okay, so now we're going to have a business that each user we're going to write a script that creates a business account automatically. So we're going to be using something known as signals. So if you ever work with Django or something like that, you know what probably a signal is. So a signal is just something that is sent in order for another part of the application to carry out an operation when something happens. Okay, so signal. So let's think, like, for example, if I create the account, I'm going to send a signal to another part of my code to create maybe another account or something like that, or to do something. Okay, so we're going to have a signal here, tortoise. We're going to import this from tortoise.signals. You're going to be importing post underscore save. Okay, and then you also need to import from typing. We need to import lists. We also need to import optional, and then you also need to import type, and then you also need to import from tortoise import base db async client. Okay, so the name is a bit tricky to type. Also make sure I get it right. From tortoise import base db async client. Okay, so now we're going to use that in here. So whenever a person our user registers for an account, we want to now use the signal to create for them a business account. So we're going to be using a decorator, and the decorator is just going to be post save decorator. And if you don't know what a post save decorator is, or you don't know what a decorator is, I have a whole series on decorators. I'll keep the link up here if I remember, or you can just search my YouTube channel main page. You can find I have a whole series on decorators and how they work. So decorator is just basically a method or a function that takes in a callable as an input input and returns a callable as an output. That's how I can define it without having to go too much into depth. If you want to go into depth, I have a whole series on that, so you can check out my YouTube channel. So this function is going to have a decorator post save, and it's going to take in a user. It's going to take in our model, which model is going to be dealing with, and the model is just going to be user model. And if you come here, we have this model called user, right? So it's going to deal with the user model, and we're going to have an async function, and we're going to call it called create underscore business. And this is going to take in a couple of arguments. So it's going to take sender, and then the sender is going to be of type, this is going to be string, so type, and then it's going to be user, just like that. Make sure you get that right. So it's actually a string, not just a normal Python variable or something. So you're going to say instance, and instance is going to be user, and then you also need to pass in created, and the created is going to be a boolean of type, okay, type bool. And then if you're not again type hints, you can just check out my YouTube channel. I have a whole tutorial on type hints. So use db is going to be optional. This is going to be optional base db client, just like that. So that's all we need to pass in. And then we can also have a update underscore fields, and update field is going to be of type list, and it's going to be a string, okay, a list of strings. That's all we need to do. And you're simply going to return here, you're going to return nothing, so you're going to return just you're going to return none. Okay, so that's all this function does. Okay, so sorry for the noise, it's just a noisy car passing outside there. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and actually write the logic. So if we have that there, so we're going to say if created, because created is going to be a boolean, right? So we're going to check if the user has been created, and if that's true, we're going to create a business object. Just I'm creating an object and call it business obj. This is going to be, you're going to await this process, so I'm going to await this, and what we're going to do is business, which is just our business model dot create. And in create unique, we're going to pass in a couple of things. So we're going to pass in business name, so business underscore name, and then the business name, which is just a field from our business model. So if you go back to our business model, we have this business name here. That's what I'm trying to refer to here. So the business name is just going to be a variable, and it's just going to be the instance dot user name. Okay, so this, whenever you create an object, right, you create an object, create a register user here, and whenever you call the post signal, that instance, like for example this new user object or user object instance, is going to be passed in here. So that's what you're going to do by accessing the instance. So you're going to say instance.username, right, which is going to be this new user, which is going to be passed in here. You're going to access its username, right? After that, you're going to say owner, which is just going to be instance itself, right? So they'll just say the business name is the name of the person who registered, and the owner of that business, which if you come here, you can see the owner is just a foreign key, right? And the foreign key, it references to a user model, and the user model, which is just foreign key here, it refers to a business. It refers to the user model, which is this user model. So it is passing in the an object or an instance from the user model, which is just going to be the owner. So that will create for us the foreign field link. Okay, and then after that, you're going to say await. You're going to await this process. What you're going to do, you're going to say business by identic dot from underscore Tortoise ORM. So for Tortoise ORM, what you're simply going to do in here is simply going to pass in business object that you have just created, right? So you're going to pass in a business object. It's going to return to as a pydantic object, and from there we're going to be able to let me just do that. From here you're going to be able to send the email. So this is the part that you're left with, to send the email to that user. So to send the email function, that's what you have not yet written. So the next tutorial, you're going to write the function to send the email to that user. So for now, you're just going to leave it up here, and then let's go ahead and actually try to test it if everything works. Okay, so it's going to create the user here, and it's going to send a signal up here, and then it's going to create for us a business account for that user, and then you're going to send the email, which you have not yet written. So let's save that, and let's go back and start our server again. Leave icon, and then I'm just going to start up that API. So I'm just running at localhost at port 8000. So I'm just going to localhost at port 8000, and then try to refresh this. So let me just try to minimize. You can see we now have one for registration. So you can see now this is how you can register. So let me just get it from Google, and then this is just a disposable email that you can use for testing your application, so that you don't have like to create 1,000 emails or have to always clear your database. After, you can use these temporary emails, they're disposable, so they cause no harm to anyone. So I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to just create I'm going to call it new user. This is going to be okay. I need to click on tries rather, so I'm going to try, and then I'm going to change this to be new user, and then the email is going to be the email that I have copied. Paste that in there. The password is just going to be a secret, which is just going to hash that password, and then the verified is going to be verified is not going to be sent. So let's see why verify is being sent here. It's not supposed to be sent. So let me just go back to my models here. So exclude user pydantic. Okay, this is user pydantic in, and then user pydantic exclude this. So this is user pydantic is going to exclude. Let me just check. I think I made an error here, so we're not supposed to pass in whether the user is verified or not to the front end. So let's check where that error is coming from. So what you need to do, basically, I also need to copy. You also don't need to pass in the date join, right? So I have to just repeat this part. So copy that, and then exclude read only, and then paste it here. And then also what you need to pass in, you also need to pass in date join. So I don't want also the user to have access to the date join, so I'm just going to pass in also date join. So we're going to exclude the verified and then the date join. Okay, so let me just try to refresh this again. User pydantic in, we are going to exclude the verified and then the join test. So I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to stop my development server, and then try to start it up again. Since I didn't enable reload, so I have to do that. So I'll try to refresh this. Now you can see those fields. So we're going to take the username, the email, and then the password. So great. Let me just try this out again. So the username is just going to be new user. So guys, remember to change this part of your code. So this part of your code on line 43, also add exclude. You're going to exclude the verified and then the date join. Okay, so it's actually data join, it's supposed to be date joined. Okay, so let me see where I can change that. User is actually date joined, so I'm going to change that to date, and then excuse me, I'm also going to change this to date. Save that, and then try to stop my development server, since I didn't enable hot reload, because reload causes it to crash. I don't know why. So yeah, then just try to refresh it one more time, and then try to try this out, and then this is going to be new user, and then the email is just going to be the email that I copied. So let me just grab that email one more time, and then bring it here, paste it here, and then the password is going to be secret, just like that. Yeah, so a very secret password, and then I'm going to hit execute. So let's see, we got an internal server error. So let's check what the error is. Has no column date join, table has no column date join, so it doesn't pick that up yet. So let me just try to save this. Date join. Did I also change it here? Yeah, date join, then I also change it here, so date join. So that should work. So let me just try to exit this, clear the terminal, and then try to do this one more time. Let me just try it out, see why it's not working. So we also have the same error. So let me see, has no date join. So what you can try to do, let's try to delete these models, and then let's try to create this model one more time. So I'm going to come here, stop my development server, and then I'm going to just delete this database for now. Just delete it, since we don't have anything inside of it, so I can just move it to trash. I made a mistake while designing my database, and sometimes it can be difficult for this to pick it up unless you're using reload, and reload causes it to crash on my PC. So if you can just use the hyphen reload flag, and then that should take care of it for you. But on this laptop of mine, it crashes. On the other laptop, it works fine. So let me just try this one more time, and then you can see we get back 200, which is the user, the account for the user has been created. So great. So now I'm just going to save that, and then go that shows that our logic is working fine, and that the account for the user has also been created. So if you have something like a DB browser, you can just stop this for now, and then you can search. If you have for DB browser, you can just search for this on Google, and then you can download it. So it's called DB browser. It allows you to browse your SQL files. So I'm just going to open it up, and I'm going to browse. I'm going to open database. So I'm just going to open database, and then I'm going to go to my desktop. It's in my e-commerce application, and then I'm going to open that, and you can see we have that database right there. So I'm going to browse data. You can see the business. We have one business that has already been registered to our account. So that shows that everything is working. The user's account has been registered. So even if I check for user, you can see we have one user in there with their password. This is their email, and their password has been hashed. Okay guys, so thanks for watching. That's all for this tutorial. So next tutorial will be like writing the logic to send the email to the user. So thanks for watching. If you like this tutorial so far, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and hitting the like button. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one.